We are the Black Hand. Alliances come and go. Corporations rise and fall. But the Black Hand remains. We wait. We watch. Through it all, the Black Hand lives on. When we strike with ruthless efficiency.
I'm back from Cloud Ring an hour ago. Killbots screamed throughout the night. On the way we came across a PL camp. Man, it was an awesome fight. I'm back in the Imperium. Yo, the house they are, boys. Back in the Imperium. Been on a fleet so long that I got 2 paddlings. Only asked FC 6 times. And Betty, I just got the ping for a cap lead. Boss kill mill shall be mine. I'm back in the Imperium. You know now how's my day, oh boys. Back in the Imperium, back in the Imperium, back in the Imperium. Well, the good fights seem to come each night. This beast is ready. And a big red boat's laid in a fleet tonight. Jump, don't jump on line 2, son. Oh my god, if you jump, you're dead. Oh, god damn it! Oh, no! I'm back in the Imperium. You know now how's my day, oh, boys. Back in the Imperium. Well, the sea told me to share my dread tonight. Big things are happening. And if I get popped, it will be alright. Cause I can always haul on super kill mills in a rookie ship. Oh, show me all the salty tears on r/e. That echo chamber of bad posts. Boo-hoo, Goons and Mittani. But what coalition gives you content the most? I'm back in the Imperium. You know now how's my day, oh boys. Back in the Imperium.
You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show.
What's up, guys? How's it going? We're finally started, and reading from chat, Okolo says, them being silent might be an overall improvement. Fact. It's true.
Yeah. That's in the infamous words, the perfect words of Bianca Del Rio, not a joke, just a statement.
As Zalman says in chat, have to be a subscriber to get sound.
God. Okay. So, I'm just going to apologize to everybody. We are late because you have two hungover, horny white boys who are here in the aftermath of a fantastic Friday night. I thought when I woke up today in the early afternoon that it was Sunday because it is the infamous ice storm Goon Meet here in Madison, Wisconsin, which is lacking ice. It's like 50 degrees out. But we partied so hard last night that it felt like a Saturday, and it's only just getting started. Now today's Saturday, so gonna go back to it. There's something changed with the stream key, and then Laz was sitting there wrestling with trying to get things spun up. And we were gonna have Aerith on deck today as our guest, and he was going to be very angry about things because it's Aerith, and he was going to be spending some time talking about the upcoming CSM election and all of the political shenanigans associated with that. But then Aerith abandoned us. So now we are here with just Laz and myself, both of us hungover, and trying and failing to do a meta show. But conveniently, we actually have a lot of shit to talk about. Laz, why don't you take us away? We got some.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've already wasted about 20 minutes of the show, so let's I guess jump straight into Null SEC power. Few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, as part of that, since we wasted 20 minutes by. And also, lots of stuff has happened, and we have no guests. So please, if you guys have questions and stuff, let's make sure that we get that in chat. Before we get too far into it, I will do want to point out here that we've started going to Planet Side 2 in the Imperium. This is something that happened over the last week or so. Is our forces are in PS2 working for Papa Vanu on the Emerald server and kicking ass and taking names. And that's been a lot of fun. It's been a soft launch into Planet Side 2. Compared to how we went like a hard launch invasion into H1Z1. And it's already worked out a lot better because we're making mistakes in a way that doesn't impact hundreds of people. So our initial vanguard is testing things and having fun, especially when things like EVE Online goes down, which it did for most of yesterday. So everybody just bops over and plays PlanetSide 2 or goes on CC and kills our enemy's Super Cat fleet, which apparently was also what we did yesterday. So Null SEC. Let's do it.
So guys, jumping straight into Null SEC, we had a couple of big fights this week. The first fight probably this week was Tishu, Maelstroms, Nitten Dots, Sleipnirs, and Panama Cormorants versus the Yacht fleet of the Imperium, which is your typical Macarials supported with Battlegorns and Vindicators. Basically, the Maelstroms died almost to the man, and then Sleipnirs get throttled as well. After that, guys, a few days later, we had the Big Red Boat and his Imperium yacht fleet get completely demolished in Euro time zone. And I'll link these in chat.
I'll run my mouth while
that's the wrong one.
Laz wrestles with copying and pasting. So yeah, basically the Imperium has been doing yacht fleet. We're all about the yacht fleet lifestyle, and actually I'm going to link in chat here again. This is a fantastic image that Destination created that I put on my Twitter of what happened yesterday when the yacht fleet was so strong it crashed the servers. Because we had this just beautiful, like, full comp Mac fleet, yacht fleet. We had a very large capital fleet and also a 70-man frigate fuck you fleet as support, at which point the servers went down. And so we had nothing to do but go to CC and kill our enemies there in a big Supercat fight that people were asking about earlier in chat. So we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, it's the loss that we had. We didn't get like wiped out to a man or something the other day in Cloud Ring, but what happened was DBRB took out a yacht fleet, and there were some communication difficulties. That's a very polite way of saying there was a screw up. And I think we lost that fight 18 billion by an 18 billion ISK spread. Let me take a look at that if I remember correctly with the kill board populated. But yeah, it was in Cloud Ring, and there were some basic errors made, and as a result, oh wow, that's even less of a spread than I thought it was. That's a 10 billion ISK spread unless the board is off.
Well, all the dreads that we killed kind of fixed it.
But yeah, we ended up holding the tower, holding the field, and all that other good stuff. So we won the strategic objective. But that was definitely the first time that the Imperium has taken out a yacht fleet and not had it utterly massacre the opposition. So eggs on our face, and in a way that I don't like to do this. Like, I don't like to win fights using super capitals because it's like bad. Basically, like if you win a fight that you were losing in terms of subcapitals, or you were in trouble because of subcapitals, and you bail your ass out by just dropping caps and supers on them, that's a bad habit that eventually leads to hubris and BR5s. But we did end up holding the field and just stopping that fight by just Tiberizzle came in and dropped the Imperium super cap fleet and cap fleet on top of it, and the problem went away and we won. But we definitely got our dicks punched.
I saw a few videos of it, and it definitely looked like we made a lot of mistakes in that fight.
Yeah, the thing about it that's funny is, like, this is the thing that I enjoy about war, and I guess from a certain perspective, not having a guest means I get to run my mouth more. The more caffeinated I get, and the more I recover from my hangover, which is good. Laz will be pleased because Laz can just sort of fall over. But whenever something like this happens, from a perspective of somebody who's doing coordination or institutional creation, like what I call org work, we run through, and this is going to sound super nerdy, but it's EVE Online. We run through something that we stole from Toyota, which is called the 5 Whys, and a lot of big corporations in the real world do this. Is like, okay, so the yacht fleet got plastered. Why did it get plastered? Well, one of the reasons was that one of the FC ships was a damnation with an MWD instead of the appropriate FC ship. Why was that? Why was that the case? Because it was just grad for why was that the case? You just run through this thing and you get down at the end of this process, you go, hey, what we should probably be doing is implementing a system where we have a wiki page that has an FC checklist for every doctrine that we have, saying you do not undock this fleet unless you have this, 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 and this. And on that same page, you also have a list of major failures, because people learn better from mistakes. And so, like, for each doctrine now, in the result of that fuck up in Cloud Ring, we're looking to have FC checklists for each doctrine, and for that also have a record on that page showing videos and examples of what not to do, and showing this is, and you keep that as a living document. So that's fun for me because I'm weird and I like doing stuff like that.
Wow.
But that's a thing that happened, and but in general, Yacht Fleet has been a huge success. The uptake has been ridiculous. Like, every time we form one, assuming that there's been reasonable notice and something in the op ticker, we've had like 50 plus fucking logistics ships. Like, the Logi turnout is crazy. We've got Vindicators, Baelgorns, Miami Vice theme songs, Horny White Boys, Yachts, Macarials. What's not to love?
It's a really good fleet, and it's the best fleet comp in the game right now. It's very, very hard to counter. It's very, very adaptable, and right now the current fleet meta in EVE Online is you want to bring as many modules and refits in your cargo, and that way you can adapt to every single situation. So I mean,
well, actually, this is Laz's wheelhouse. So I'm going to toss a softball across your plate, which is, EVE Online, the fleet meta has often been described about counterplay. What is it about Macarials that has made them so good for counterplay, and why everybody has just rushed to adopt these things?
Well, the basic thing about the Macarials is they get that unique bonus that all of the Angel ships get, is the 50% warp speed increase, which is huge right now in the current meta with how slow battleship warps. And then battleships also have the huge effective hit points, as well as the ability to punch through Tech 3 fleets. So you're able to bring heavy newts for the long range neuting power to kind of keep a void zone around your ships. And then you also have long range webs from Baelgorns. You have lots of fat ships that can do lots of different things, and also triage support. As you saw, they had the dreads ready to drop on us here, and we didn't have the supers ready to counterplay them. So the reason that Macarials, of all things, are actually really, really good in the current meta is because they can choose their damage type with projectiles. You have fusion or fusion or hail, or if you're using artillery, you have quake, which has a tracking bonus as well. And then you have EMP and phase plasma, so you can basically do all the different damage types that you need to be able to punch through their particular holes. But if you're looking at like rocks or Megathrons or Proteuses or Tengus or anything like that, or any Amar ship, they're all locked into their damage type, either Amar thermal or EM thermal or kinetic thermal. So it's what projectiles have that one unique ability to be able to switch their damage types as needed. Besides missiles, some missile ships can do it, but also a lot of missile ships are locked into kinetic damage only.
Now, here's a question about like getting the fleet into warp. I know that when the fleet, like the warp speed bonus while you're warping, is useless in a fleet when you have multiple ships that have slower, like that don't have the bonus, right? But I do know that Macarials also get into warp faster. So if you do a fleet warp, do the Macarials get into the warp? Do they initiate the warp faster than the other ships, even if there are slower ships in the warp?
No.
Okay.
Whenever you fleet warp, the slowest ship in your fleet, like warp speed wise, is your entire fleet's warp speed.
Right, and that's the warp speed itself. But I mean, they also get a bonus for getting into warp faster. Or do they not?
No, they don't get a bonus. They get a bonus to their actual overall warp speed, not like alignment. But they are actually pretty agile, so they do get into warp quicker from a standstill.
Gotcha. So one of the things that's been fascinating to me about all of this is, with Macarials, it seems like the only thing that's really a hard counter to Macarials is a capital escalation. Like currently in many ways, this reminds me of the battle days of the Ishtar, right? So here's this ship that is just straight up the best in every situation as a subcap. In fact, because people haven't heard the phrase in a while, and I know that it annoys some of our enemies, I'm just going to throw it out here. You might suggest that the Yacht fleet is the subcapital equivalent of an Apex force. So there you go. I love it when we take some sort of like language thing that our enemies don't like, and then we use it, and they have to use it themselves. Somebody was asking a question in chat about Macarials, which is something that, one of the reasons why we in the Imperium didn't have a Macarial fleet when everybody else did for a while is that we didn't think that we could manage to supply it for the entire organization because we have so many dudes. But it turns out that the supply of Macarials is really deep. And the theory of that is that every place that has Angel Space has been dropping Macarial BPCs for years, right? Which is much of the galactic east. And on top of that, there's been a lot of the mission hubs, the Angel mission hubs in Curse. Also, you can cash an LP for that. And one of the things that we noticed when we started looking at the market, whereby we, I mean the Goonstorm finance team, was you could completely wipe out the market in Jita for Macarials, and the next day it would mysteriously return, utterly unaffected. And what we realized, and this is impolite, but it's the reality, is the areas that have been spitting out Macarial BPCs, both in terms of the mission hub and in terms of just the routing space, have been botted so relentlessly, dropping Macarial BPCs for 12 years or whenever they first introduced the Macarial. That territory has been like botter central. So like there's just thousands in hangars in Jita, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of Macarial BPCs just sitting around waiting for somebody to use this doctrine. So it's not like a Tempest fleet issue. The Imperium ran into serious trouble when we were, of course, at the time we were the CFC, and I know it makes people very angry when I name coalitions that are ours, and then I rename coalitions that are ours, because I named the CFC, and then I renamed it the Imperium, and I'm a bad man because of it. But that was the problem with the Tempest fleet issue at the start of the Fountain Wars, is that was something that was relatively new as a ship. It was only available during Faction War LP, and so the supply of it was just microscopic, as opposed to Macarials, where in theory it looks similar. Oh, it's a faction battleship or whatever. But if you dig into it, you realize that these things have been just botted to death for a decade or more. And that's the reason why people can crunch all they want and make more. They also don't die too much. I mean, they're so tough. Their counterplay is so strong that in general, unless you fuck up catastrophically and have a command breakdown, then you end up, it's really hard to kill tons of them. Like, they just don't die that much. So yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, I'm just really happy about it. I think that from this is just a pure Imperium kind of thing, but from a coalition leader perspective, I kind of think that it's a testament to the system working, that we're now in a situation where, Goonstorm in 2006, we had nothing but rifters and hate, and no money at all. And now we're in a situation where our guys are able to unironically fly reimbursable Macarial, Bailgorn, and Vindicator fleets, and it ain't no thing. Like, I just think that's badass. It makes me really proud, just in being able to take, have us collectively take the organization from where it was to where it is today and be able to do that. So yeah, I don't know if people have questions about that. We should probably get into discussing the Fade and all this node hacks and Sov attacks that have been happening up in the Imperium.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's always so much to talk about today, and we have like no time to talk about it. So I guess
Well, we have no
quickly,
guest,
yeah.
so and I'll run my mouth quickly, so that'll be good.
Ready, set, go.
All right, so no, we'll just figure it out.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Just don't put me under pressure. I mean, I said I would do it quickly, and then now I feel pressured. I have performance anxiety, Laz. I wallowed too hard.
You're such a diva. Someone get him a bottled water, please.
It was a funny kind of thing that we were talking about. I'm just gonna spell this out here. Politically speaking, so I was hanging out with Scion, of course, because a lot of the Goonswarm Directorate is in Madison for Iceworm, like I said earlier. And Scion was like, I don't understand why people buy into this thing, because they like, you do this thing where you go like tee-hee, flounce, and you know, people don't, you know, and then I'm just a figurehead and I'm a puppet, and then Scion gets blamed for everything that I do. And so this is me doing my tee-hee, flounce thing, and for some reason people buy it, which is great. Keep it up. So Fade, the node situation, and all this. We have the Children's RMT Crusade, as we've begun to call them, which it makes them very, very angry. It is a pseudo-coalition of a bunch of random enemies of the Imperium, which have been funded by a combination of ISK from I Want ISK, one of the I Want ISK bankers, a guy named Lenny Kravitz, who used to be with Brave Newbies, and also, apparently, our dear friend RMF Horus, a.k.a. Kralamar, a.k.a. the Puppet Master, who has left a slime trail across the entire internet bragging about how he is a notorious botter and RMTer. So essentially anybody who is taking ISK from somebody who is affiliated with RMF Horus, who churns their characters constantly, so you can really only catch him by his Skype name. But he's obvious to find and everybody knows him. So all these guys are taking this ISK week after week after week out of some sort of weird grudge against SMA that was spawned with whatever the hell went down with I Want ISK. They're not particularly organized, and they really don't like the fact that they're affiliated with RMF Horus or Dirty ISK being put out there, especially not on live TV like this or in broadcast. It pretty much drives them crazy. So what's been happening is that over the last week and a half, they've been constantly trying to reinforce SMA territory in Fade or in Pure Blind, and in general just hacking. And this has been interesting, I think, not because, oh my god, Fuzzy Sov gameplay, but again, from an org work perspective. We've introduced a new doctrine we call Sword Fleet, and we have this thing that we call the Night's Watch, which has been working out very well. After all of the Sturm and Drang of all of this effort that they've conducted in the last week, now of course we're all at a party tonight, so what's probably going to happen is like we're going to be all up there and I'm going to say something like, nothing, there's been no effect of this, and then like tomorrow we lose all of our Sov. But thus far, we haven't lost shit. Basically, through all of the hacking efforts of weeks and numbers of timers, I don't think a single iHub has been destroyed. I think a TCU might have been destroyed and replaced, because that's how we deal with TCUs. But I don't think they actually got any of that shit. But it's been interesting. Pandemic Horde moved to Okakainen, and so they're running around with like cormorant fleets or occasionally with confessor fleets. There is just general activity to try to put pressure on SMA. And SMA is doing a fine job of holding their shit together, and we're, of course, helping them from Saranin. Our enemies are mostly trying to wage war on Reddit, right? I mean, if you look at the facts on the ground of what's happened on Dotland, there has been no impact. Like, oh, their ADMs are decreasing. Ooh. But in terms of actual brass tacks, there hasn't been shit. And meanwhile, we are getting to train our new fleet commanders, because we have, after the fireside chat last week, I said that we needed more skirmish commanders in US time zone, and that lots of people were doing this in Euro time zone and being very effective with what we call the Night's Watch fleets, which is now the Sword Fleet doctrine. And we had like 50 applications inside of the first 72 hours after the fireside chat to be skirmish commanders, which is cool. So do that. This actually like might be much more Laz's territory than mine. But have you seen the Sword Fleet yet?
I actually have not. I've not looked at the Sword Fleet at all.
Okay.
I came back. I started seeing again this week, and so hopefully we'll be leading some more fleets in the coming weeks, guys. Hopefully get some more fights in that. Actually, I'm pretty upset about it. I'm pretty triggered. I let a fleet and get blue balled.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm
Poor
pretty
baby.
upset, and I was like, it was the night after Asher dunked their maelstroms,
And they just didn't want it. Yeah, I saw that. You got everybody together, and the thing is like, and that's the problem is like with the yacht fleets, the uptake them on them is so big, so the blue balls just works because like we have our guys with like just tons of Carlos, and like I just want to take this fleet and obliterate somebody with it, and they don't want it. So Sword Fleet is basically the old Reelan and Asher fast harpies concept, which doesn't actually contain harpies at all. So I never knew why they called it fast harpies, but it's a pure interceptor doctrine. So the way that this works, guys, and this is just speaking to Imperium people here, is every day at 20:30 Eve, the watch begins, which is when our first vulnerability timers for ADM2 systems begins, and we have API notifications to say your shit's getting hacked, and you see these in Elysium. So every day we have scheduled, assuming the coordination team does their job, a skirmish commander FC, a mentor FC, and a Titan. And the way it works is when you see a hack notice, you just have this person who's designated instantly sends out a ping for a Night's Watch fleet, which is now increasingly going to be Sword Fleet, Sword Fleet, Sword Fleet. If it's not, something is wrong. They haven't gotten the memo. We've seen a few jacked off fleets go out still. But Sword Fleet itself is all warp-rigged interceptors, so Raptors and Areses and Claws with ECM fuckery involved. So basically, they can't be bubbled. They bridge instantly on top of the hackers, and they either kill the hackers with their own mass, or if they can't kill the hackers, they're able to delay and use ECM bursts to disrupt the hack and buy time for the Mentor FC to come in with a heavier fleet and obliterate them. And they've been a lot of fun because people can't be caught and bubbled. They're just really fast. There's lots of fuckery. They're cheap, and you get a bonus on SRP for losing one. So like I think a regular interceptor SRP is like 10 million ISK, and if you're doing it for Night's Watch fleet, you get a bonus. So FCs are getting trained, interceptors are zooming around, hacks are not really succeeding. So the situation is excellent. And we're attacking. Well, we will be attacking soon. This is the fun bit for me.
Yeah, I mean, probably besides that, guys, the Nemec Legion moved to a Korra today, which we'll drop into the chat real quick for you. It's kind of it's in the north, guys. They were in Curse. They moved from Curse up towards the north. However, there are still 3 to 4 jumps out of range of all the action that's currently going on in Low Sec around Black Rise and Cloud Ring and Period Bases, all those areas that currently all the fighting's happening in. So they're closer, but they're still pretty far away, thanks to Phoebe, which everyone's so happy about. Phoebe.
We had an issue with a bot breaking the other day. Actually, we had one of the reasons why Fade ended up with so many reinforcement timers, which you can see, is because there's a period a couple days ago where our API notice bots had some sort of issue, and they weren't pinging, so we didn't get to see those. And somebody in chat helpfully just reminded me that for some reason the hack notice bot has not been turned back on in Elysium, so I have just asked our guys to do that. So thank you for the feedback, and we'll get that fixed. Yeah, PL moved to Korra from Utopia and Curse. Korra is 2 jumps out of BWF and Geminate. And I think, actually, Laz has already dropped that, and you can do a little bit of amateur jump range analysis yourself if you want to. Here, let me go ahead and be super lazy mode for everybody and put this over here so you can take a look at PL's new staging system. They used to be in Utopia and Curse. Of course, the links break here.
Yeah, so I linked that one first, and then I saw it broke, so I just linked the system.
That's lame. You guys can figure it out. But yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see what happens. There's a couple of theories as to what's going on there in terms of PL. One of the things that is a testament to PL's success that is also kind of annoying from a leadership perspective is PL and the Imperium both are constantly trying to be the boogeymen, right? But we are always telling everybody that we're idiots and not to be afraid of us because we enjoy being underestimated. PL is great at being the boogeymen. Whenever they move or wipe their asses in some way, everybody's going, oh my God, PL. And so, they move to Korra, and that means that people in Geminate are starting to flip the fuck out, right? Because that potentially puts them right over the border to potentially get involved in some sort of Russian war, or it potentially means that if NC Dot gets stuck with their dick caught in a door jam, if they move their caps from Shonen, which is where they currently are in Iridia, to try to mess with the Imperium, PL will be better able to bail them out, but not easily. So it would be like a hellish jump fatigue run to be able to do that, but it would at least be possible, as opposed to with them in Utopia where it's just impossible. The strategic posture of the blocks or the elite PvP supercap entities versus the last remaining blocks, I guess, is that PL and NC have this tremendous interest to keep their supercap fleets within range of each other to bail each other out because they support each other, right? And if you're in a situation where NC ever did get caught out and the Imperium just obliterated that half of that supercap blob there, just nuked NC in a BR, like imagine BR5, but with no PL. Right? That's the ideal scenario that the Imperium has always wanted, is we have always wanted to catch. BR5 was disappointing because we killed more PL people than we killed NC And I'm like, please stop getting in the way of our fists.
I mean, not to interrupt you, but that's actually an amazing segue because that's just what happened with CC yesterday.
It is.
I couldn't waste it, man. I couldn't.
Wow,
Just
no,
couldn't
I'm glad that you interrupt. That is a perfect segue. So that's an example of the exact scenario that the Imperium is looking for, is because the servers were down yesterday, and during the time that the servers went down, everybody from the Children's RMT Crusade and the Imperium hopped onto CC to slug it out, and we obliterated them. And NC people ended up like self-destructing their super caps too, and whining about Gurgoons and all that other sort of stuff. I mean, that's what we want, is we want to find, PL we fought wars against because they're in the way of the bodies of the people that we want to be hitting. So, so there's a couple ways to analyze the Korra thing. It could be, something that's aimed at Geminate. It could also be just general content, wormhole seeking. It's easier to get holes that are near due to the mathematics of how wormholes work. But it's an interesting move. It's always nice to see the great powers moving. Similarly, speaking of great powers moving, from the Imperium, you have Initiative is moved into Syndicate, which is kind of a thing. What you're seeing is that some of the, it wasn't NC self-destructing their supers, it was Tissue self-destructing their supers. My bad. Apologies to NC It's kind of funny, actually, that we have people and OSS just warping off. It's kind of, wow. Poor babies. Speaking of poor babies, yeah, so the Initiative is the Imperium's specialist alliance led by Sister Bliss. They're fantastic. They operate independently, and they've been in Curse for, often, like they go off to Curse and do their own thing there. And one of the things that Initiative is very good at is basically oppressing NPC nullsec regions. Like, they're used to living in NPC nullsec. They're used to taking moons in NPC nullsec. And as it happens now, you're going to begin to see, as the Imperium fixes its internal structure, there's going to begin to see reprisals taking place. And so one of the first ones that you're seeing is Initiative is going to Syndicate, where there are 22 R64s at risk, one of which is one of the members of the Children's Crusades. Actually, a couple of them are holding their income in Syndicate. And as far as I'm concerned, all those moons are in perpetuity now the property of the Imperium in the form of the Initiative. And ain't that a shame? So that'll be fun. It's possible, Initiative is a very EUTZ strong alliance. A lot of the other EUTZ enemies in the Children Crusade could try to gang up on Initiative, but we have a pathway to get down there, and we'll see. There should be a moon campaign kicking off shortly, and hopefully a lot of screaming and crying from our enemies who didn't think that there would be any repercussions for what they did. Or they could get their supers and capitals caught out and gangbanged by everybody. You never know with these kind of things.
It's a toss-up.
EVE Online.
Oh man! So Frozen Fall, thank you so much for the subscription, for helping support the channel. And looks like I think that's about it for Null SEC. Kind of swinging into CCP Please here in the last 15 minutes of the stream.
We can do that.
Yeah, and then we'll probably do giveaways towards the end, guys. So CCP Please, guys, have a little bit to talk about here this week. Probably let's hit the biggest thing.
Well, let's talk about the RMT stuff first, because we're just talking about the Children's Crusade and all the RMF Horus shit. So one of the biggest things that's happened is, coincidentally enough, as soon as we started publicly talking about RMF Horus and I Want ISK and how casinos are essentially a way for people to launder money, and how all of our enemies are taking this ISK and should probably be investigated for it, because it's kind of dirty stuff. Anything that RMF Horus is involved in bragging in is something that should be raising eyebrows. CCP Security has released a dev blog talking about sort of like Plex for snitches, but ISK buyer amnesty and things like that. And one of the theories is that CCP is gearing up for a Unholy Rage style anti-RMT, bust, sting operation, something or other, because there's no reason for them to go out there, us, secretly CCP, the tinfoil, it begins. There's no reason for them to put a blog like that out unless there is something interesting that was about to take place. And we do know that there is a lot of just dirty shit flowing around in Null SEC right now. So obviously, when that came out in the middle of the Children's RMT Crusade, we pointed that out on broadcast, which made our esteemed foes extremely unhappy. But I think that, I'm really eager to see what the hell goes down there, because our shit's correct, and we know our enemy's shit isn't correct. And I'm really curious to see if people start getting black bagged soon. But yeah, so if you are a member of the enemy who has been taking some dirty RMF horse, not RMT horse, but might as well be ISK, you might want to take a look at that blog, and make sure that you go states evidence before you end up in Riker's Island. It's good shit.
One of the big things about that post, guys, is which CCP had to clarify, is all the stuff revolving around IS Boxer. Everyone's freaking out that you can no longer use IS Boxer. Period. That's not the case, guys. They didn't change any of the rules regarding that, so you can still use the window management functionality of IS Boxer. You just can't use any of the overlay or keep broadcasting stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people were upset about that. And then I guess next up would be, let's hit the CSM meeting minutes, guys. I'm just going to throw that link out there. I actually haven't gone through them yet. I don't think Alex or the Mittani's gone through them either. So we can't talk too much about them. I know people were talking to me yesterday on Twitter, sending messages about some of the changes. I know Jane Filion, one of the CSM reps, was messaging me talking about what we thought about a 250 kilometer minimum warp to distance. So right now the warp to distance is 150 kilometers. You have to be above 150 to be able to warp to a target. And they're talking about what would we think would happen with 250, and personally, I definitely think 250 is too long for subcap warfare. It definitely limits the way that things interact against each other, and it changes the ability to warp and bounce on long-range fleets like Pete's and stuff like that, where they're just pretty much can warp into 200 and dodge all fire. And it would completely change the meta to a sniper meta. So there's that.
Yeah, sniper meta is lame. We've done that before, and it's just not terribly exciting. Yeah, I don't really know. I haven't heard the thing about CSM meeting minutes, and this is how information filters to me through the many layers of bureaucracy. Because since I am an ineffectual figurehead, people like Scion restrict access to me. People can't talk to me unless they fill out many TPS reports in triplicate and then go through the appropriate procedures. So the way that I find out about things from the CSM minutes is usually, jokes aside, if there's something that's really interesting in there, people will start screaming about it, right? Oh my God, this, oh my God, that, oh my God, the other thing. And in this case, all the CSM discussion has been around the meta CSM shit of what happened with the no science rule, with Lilu, with Falcon, and with the new administration. So this is the first summit under Logibro and Guard, and I have yet to hear screaming. People have been talking about Traumer, FTW here is saying in chat that CCP brought up about auto-aggression of drones, which is, obviously CCP doesn't like AFK ratting. And they shouldn't. We do AFK ratting in the Imperium all the time. We are the gods of AFK ratting because, the Garista's Menace is basically just bait for carrier ratting and for Ishtar AFK ratting or snake ratting or whatever. You just use drones and you watch Netflix and money rolls in and tax money for the Empire rolls in, so everybody wins. But it's not exactly engaging gameplay. PvE has historically been terrible for that. And there's a lot of people who are interested in the new carrier mechanics, right, that have been displayed in some places using sort of a World of Warship style, micromanage, mash your mouse buttons as many as you can, fighter gameplay. But I don't think from a gameplay perspective that AFK ratting is good. I think it would be better if the PvE itself was more entertaining, right? So AFK ratting is good in the sense that the PvE experience in EVE Online is so mind-numbingly awful that the best way to deal with it is to be completely AFK.
Yeah, I did a post about it this week, and I'm not gonna link it yet because I want to go back and I'm going to write a second part of it and see if I can further clarify what my statements are. But the TLDR, guys, is the way that PvE and Eve is, where you have to like lock and shoot, lock and shoot, lock and shoot, is just monotonous and boring, and it's not hard or anything. Like it's just you require so much focus, and it's hard for you to do other things at the same time. Like it's just I don't know. I prefer to gouge my eyes out in PvE
the very
all the time.
idea of PvE is horrifying. The entire reason why the Imperium has this massive state-sponsored military bureaucracy is that we want people to kill without having to do any PvE. Like we've engineered this entire institution designed such that our guys can focus on the fun parts of EVE Online and skip the PvE. Like you get enough money for your first doctrine ship, and then you can just kill and make money by doing that and getting reimbursed. Got a question actually. What's that, Laz? You go.
Oh no, I was going to say, Astronauts said in chat, PvE, just like PvE in most games, it's not true. PvE in most games, a lot of times
is the core gameplay, and it's actually really fun and engaging. Yeah.
But also PvE, like PvE in Eve, if you're having to like actively shoot every single target, like it's just monotonous single target at a time. And if other games were like that, where instead of like AOE grinding mobs or AOE farming for whatever, you'd have to kill one target every single time, it'd be slow. It'd be just like Eve PvE, and just people just wouldn't do it. I mean,
one of the questions that we're getting here is from Hildefer, who's saying, does the Imperium have a post that suggests how we'll vote for the next CSM? So due to the chaos within the CSM, with the no silence rule, the changeover management, blah, 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 they didn't release the list of candidates, the approved candidates for the CSM, until I think like yesterday or the day before, which means that we couldn't assemble a ballot list. So what you'll see for people in the Imperium who are wondering how to vote, don't worry, we will help you exercise your rights to do anything that you want, your rights of freedom of choice, by telling you exactly how to vote and exactly how to exercise that freedom by doing exactly what we say. So we will take all of the burden of choice away from you if you so choose. Obviously, the funny thing about block voting that people don't understand is that there's no way to force or even see how people vote. So we issue a block list, and unaligned puppies are always screaming about block voting and all this, and it's like they think that we've got a gun to the back of people's heads. The reality is that you build up trust in the organization and the political people at the top who are making that ballot list, and your people vote that way because they realize that you have schemes and that they want to see those schemes carried out because it benefits them. So we will have a block vote list published, and there will be an interrupt on goonfleet.com to make it even easier for you to exercise your freedom of choice to do exactly what we tell you in exactly the right time in the right place. So don't worry, it's just we're delayed on it because CCP was delayed on it. So you'll get that shortly.
I guess probably next big thing for CSM update or CCP updates for this week would be the 07 show. CCP Larrikin and CCP Lebowski went on and did a demo of the new carrier changes. I've linked that in chat as well at the exact time point where it starts. It looks pretty interesting. I want to touch it and play with it myself, and I'm not sure how.
You want to touch it and play with it yourself?
Yes, I usually have
You're
other
such a
people do
horny
it.
white boy, I swear.
But no, I mean it's I don't know, like if you look at it, and the only thing that really pops in my head immediately is this is going to suck dick and tie-dye. I mean that's the first thing that comes to my mind is like, oh my god, and without time dilation it looks like it'd be pretty fun. And the fighter bombers or the old fighter bombers now have this like this torpedo that has three charges in it, and then it has to go back and reload to get those charges back, but it also has main guns they can use. And basically, if you get enough of those fighter bombers and launch that ability at the same time, you basically have a doomsday, because it does so much damage, like one-time damage with that torpedo.
Interesting. Okay. That's sort of World of Warships-y, I guess, in terms of like the way that they added the fighter gameplay for aircraft carriers in World of Warships, where you do have like special abilities for your little dudes that you can trigger. Laz is basically like, oh, I just want to show off my biceps on the screen. Like, just like, oh yeah, so much following. Oh, look at the guns. It's good stuff. The guys did not go unnoticed, Laz.
Damn.
But yeah, another couple things is CCP has actually announced that we're going to do giveaways in a moment because we're coming up to the end of time. So DBRB knows how to actually run his stream, unlike us. He is not as hungover, I guess, and so we can't run over for the meta show, even though we had missing the first 20 minutes. So we'll do giveaways in a moment. Also, it looks like CCP's financials have been released, or there's been some sort of report about it that implies that CCP did manage to turn a profit in 2015 to the tune of about $20 million. But we need to analyze whether that is whether they are counting the investment money that they took in. And the link to that is down here. There we go. So people can take a look at that, and that is all Icelandic. So guys, talk and chat here, and Laz, you wanna do your thing? We want to have some giveaways going on.
I already got it running, so guys, if you haven't already talk and chat, follow the stream. If you don't follow the stream, you cannot win. If you do win, guys, you need to message the channel with your in-game character name. Message to the channel, TheMittani.com, with your in-game character name and which of the 4 pirate rookie ships you'd like sent to you, and we will send that out. And yeah, that's about it. So guys, like I said, follow the stream, type in chat. If you don't do both those things, then you cannot win. So we're gonna give it a minute, and we got the boat show coming up next. And I guess also it would be a good time to go ahead and thank all of you guys. All you guys have been watching me stream personally on my own channel lately, and all for the support there. And if you haven't seen on Twitter, I got partnership yesterday.
Congratulations,
man.
Maybe that's why you're so hungover today, is because you were out there. They're doing that. Yeah, no, we've been pushing everybody to help support Laz, follow his channel so that he can be our first, outside of the Mittani.com official channel, one of our first, like, we want to have an entire network of partners, because I think that that's just the way to do things, to do right by our folks. So congratulations to everybody. His success is our success. Rising tide lifts all boats. Other couple things here while people are talking. Well, I guess we've only got 2 minutes to go, so you might as well start throwing. Let's do this. People are talking. Let's make it rain on the boys. Thanks to CCP for giving us these pirate rookie ship codes to give away to our people. And yeah, if you don't follow, you don't count, because click a button to win some stuff. That's not a really high bar to hit. All right, guys, let's do it.
First roll.
All the time.
First roll is going to be Lekly, Lekly. Congrats, buddy. Congrats. Next roll is going to be Dan Mullet. I like the name.
Dan Mullet, that's a good one.
And then the third is going to be El Doinko. El Doinko is the third. So guys, all 3 of you guys, make sure you message the channel, include your character name, and then also which of the 4 pirate rookie ships you'd like to get. I think the 4 are the Echo, Immolator, Taipan, and Violator. Yep, there we go. Yep. So just pick whichever you want. They're all worth about 250 millish. So send that over. But guys, coming up next is the boat show. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. If you have any questions, anything like that, you can message us on Twitter, TheMittani.com Twitter, or myself, or the Mittani, or blah blah blah. And we'll see you guys next Saturday for the. And I think we're gonna try to get Aerith the next Saturday, because I know we really want to have Aerith on.
We didn't have him today, and that's a shame, because Aerith will be a fantastic guest once he deigns to grace us with his presence.
So guys, we'll see you later. Enjoy the boat show.
Cheers.